All right, let's go on foreign policy. You have said famously, and I've heard you a number of times, you're going to basically try to tear up this agreement with Iran on day one. Why not give it a chance and see if it works?
Well, I've seen.
I mean, we don't know yet if it's going to work, right? We don't know. You don't know yet if it's going to work. So why make this pledge that you automatically know you're going to tear it up?
Well, I know. I have no problem doing a deal if it's on our terms. This is just a horrible deal. This is a horrible deal. And it's not just Republicans like me saying. I mean, Chuck Schumer isn't exactly Mr. Conservative out there. He knows this is a bad deal. Other Democrats know this is a bad deal. The American people know this is a bad deal. If you know it's a bad deal and you know it today, why do you need a week or a month to put a cabinet in or a panel in there? You need to tear it up and say, you want to do a deal with us? Here's the deal. You need to go out and completely get rid of your illicit nuclear infrastructure. You need to completely get rid of it. Secondly, you need to have full disclosure. None of these side deals like we heard about the other day where somehow the Iranians are able to be a part of their own inspection out there. Full disclosure, absolute timely disclosure. And then on top of that, you need to start dealing with the destructive behaviors that Iran is directly involved in when it comes to state-sponsored terrorism. The money that would be gained by lifting these sanctions will largely go into places like Hamas and Hezbollah and others that have a direct intention on taking out Israel. It'll probably indirectly go in to prop up Assad in Syria. It'll help the Houthi rebels in places like Yemen. This is a bad deal for Israel. It's a bad deal for America. It's a bad deal for the world. Why would we want to keep it for one moment?
But on day one, if you renege on the deal, what the Obama administration agreed to, the Iranians then will have gotten money already from the deal and now feel carte blanche then to go and restart their nuclear ambition. Well, because they can say, well, the Americans have reneged on their part of the deal, we're reneging on our part.
Well, from our standpoint, we're sending a clear message today so it doesn't sneak up anybody else out there that in the future we're going to pull back on it. If you want to do business, you got to decide, are you going to do it with Iran or are you going to do it with America? We're going to pull back and terminate this deal on day one. We're going to reinstate the sanctions that are authorized by Congress that have been waived by this administration to lift them going forward. We're going to go to Congress to put in place even more crippling sanctions going forward. And we're going to go out and convince our allies to do it.
They've got their money. They've already gotten the money.
Not every bit of it does.
Well, they're going to have quite a bit of it, and certainly with the European allies.
And this is precisely why this deal is so bad. The only reason they were coming to the table was not because the Iranians have suddenly, seen the light. This is the same country. I remember as a kid tying yellow ribbons around the tree in front of my house during the 444 days that Iran held 52 Americans hostage. This country has not changed in the past 3.5 decades. The reason that this country is at the table is because of two things. One, the sanctions were working, and they're at their knees and wanted relief. And two, this administration, Barack Obama in the early stages, Hillary Clinton, were pushing for this to happen, even though the president said repeatedly, we're not going to allow this to happen if they're in violation of UN Security Council resolutions. They're in violation of, I believe, at least 6. He said you got to have the ability to have immediate ability to inspect underground facilities like Fordo. That's not a part of the deal. They said this has got to be a permanent deal. It's not. On all the major things, or nearly all of the major things this president said had to be part of the deal, he has moved. He's moved closer and closer to Iran. Why aren't we in a position as great as a country as ours to say, no, you need to come to our position, and then we'll start dealing?
So there's no way you'll wait 6 months, a year to see if the deal's actually working?
It's a bad deal today. We need to terminate today. I'm ready to be president of the United States on day one. I don't need to wait a week or a month. I know with the folks that I've talked to, the experts that I've looked at in this deal, the folks from across the political spectrum who know this is a bad deal, I'm ready to make that decision on day one. I'm not going to be intimidated by others around the world. I'm going to make the case on behalf of America and behalf of our allies like Israel, and not just Israel, by the way. The Persian Gulf states overwhelmingly are concerned about this deal with Iran, and it directly affects not just our relationship in the Iran deal, it affects our ability to persuade them to help us in the fight against ISIS, because they see a direct threat. They see a ceding territory to Iran. That makes it more difficult for us in the fight against Iran, against ISIS, I should say.